everybody, welcome back to Core. This is Core, episode 194. I'm John Jagger. I'm usually not the one who does this, but Scott is at a dinner. And so it's just me and my co-host, Bo, today. Hey, Bo.
Hi, I'm the co-host. You're the
Yeah.
host.
Yeah, we're both co-hosts. That's where the co comes in.
I want to point out that I am wearing a house coat today.
Okay.
That's all.
You know what? It's good that we got the important things out of the way. Bo, I have an important question for you right at the top of the show.
All right, shoot.
What do you think of the God of War?
I have never played God of War.
Never.
Never.
Okay, so not too long ago, I think it was last year, right? They did a new God of War. A lot of people talked about it. A lot of people were very excited about it, very into it. What if I told you that you would have your chance to play said God of War, if you wanted, without buying a PlayStation 4?
What?
So, let's get into this, because this is the big news. This is the juicy tidbit that's going around.
All right. So
Just
before you start, I want to insert the customary Scott complaint. I went to this article on USA Today, and the article appeared, and then 5,000 advertisements showed up, and there's no article. So USA Today, get it together. Anyways,
perfect. They nailed it. You know what? It's funny because this news story was literally all over the place, and I have no idea why I picked this as the link. It was just what I had open at the time.
Okay, well, so I'm just because it happened, I'm like, let me click this convenient link John has placed in the show notes so that we can discuss this issue. And no joke, there is an ad, there are tables, there are boxes, there are popular stories. There's a grid that is 4 rows long. I'm scrolling down. There's a video of NASA. There's 4 tweets embedded. There is a slideshow of people taking selfies of themselves. Then there's all that, what do they call that dangly stuff on the bottom? The clickbait. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of that. Then there's another most popular, 3 rows of that. Featured video, featured gallery. It's insane. Anyways.
There's so much internet, Bo. You can't experience it all in one day.
Oh, I think I accidentally clicked the home button. Get your shit together, USA Today. All right.
I don't understand this website. It's about everything, I guess. I don't know.
I'm glad I embarrassed myself before realizing it was my error.
You know what? It's probably still bad. Honestly, it's probably still not great.
PlayStation, they're doing something that's blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, so basically Sony has a PlayStation Now cloud video game service. It's been around for a while. It's a way to play some games over the cloud, the big popular thing that's going around. It used to cost $20 a month. They're doing 2 things. They're cutting the price to $9.99 monthly.
Okay. So it was 20 before.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are adding a couple of really big PlayStation 4 games to the service. God of War, Grand Theft Auto 5, Infamous Second Son, and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
Uncharted, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Will all the Uncharteds be on there? That's another video game phenomenon that I have zero experience with.
I don't know if they already are on there or not, but they will. These new 4 will be on there until January 2nd, 2020.
Okay. But I'm assuming there's more than just those 4 games for this $10, right?
Yes. Currently stocked with more than 800 games across PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Yeah.
So you're saying I don't need a PlayStation to partake?
That is my understanding of it.
Okay.
That it can be played on phones and PC, which means you don't need a PlayStation for it. For it.
Okay.
Now it is the streaming version of the game.
Uh-huh.
So
so it's not a local download. Would you play online?
No, it is streaming. So I don't know if that changes anything for you. You're gonna have latency potentially.
So let's because that's like a whole conversation in and of itself, which maybe we get to. Let's just say it works fine for the purpose of the conversation. I'm gonna find a better article than USA Today, but Y'all
No, it is bad.
suck. Let's see here, PlayStation Plus. But let's say that it is a good serve. Gaming runs right. Let's just assume it's downloads on face value.
Right.
Very interesting, considering that they're in the wake of all this Epic exclusivity. That PlayStation's exclusives are pretty. What's the word? Like a pillar for the brand. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, consoles, that's just a way of life there, and you tend to think, geez, I can't play Halo or Gears of War on my PC, because they're console exclusives. But Xbox has kind of flirted with the PC versions before in the past. I think Halo 1's on PC, or was it 2? I played one of them on PC. And, but PlayStation has never been an option.
Right.
Do you ever think Last of Us will be on there?
I think I could see it potentially making its way there. I mean, they did so. I mean, are you talking about Last of Us 2 or the original
Last of Us 1
Last
even?
of Us?
Because when that game first came out, a friend of mine was just like, I played this game. It's the greatest game I've ever played. I will lend you my PlayStation. I don't have any alternatives. Right. I will lend you my PlayStation to play it. And just through, I don't know, laziness, I guess, it never ended actually happening. But on several occasions, this offer was made to me, and I had, to listen to. I say I had to listen to. It was pleasant conversation, but I had to endure hours and hours of explanation as to why this was a great game. And needless to say, it's always piqued my curiosity. I've seen a bit of the gameplay. I've played a little bit on the couch at a friend. So it's the notion that I can now not have to buy a console to play it is cool. So I'm on the PlayStation blog here. And it says, starting October 1st, following top blockbuster games. You covered that. These games will be available starting on October 1st until January 2nd, 2020 for you to stream to your PS4 system or PC or download to your PS4 system. So rules is written, to borrow the D&D parlance or the TTRPG parlance.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like it's streaming only for PC.
Right.
Which... if the hardware is a little different, it probably entails some work to transfer these games to to make it PC friendly. So I can kind of see that being like, it's a deal breaker if we have to do it. If we have to like make a new executable and whatever it takes to like make the game run on the PC.
Right.
Whereas if they stream it on their own PlayStation hardware, and they're good to go. Interesting. So has there been a lot of reaction or outcry to this? Like, that you've seen, or
no, people seem pretty excited about it. And actually it's funny because I just looked it up. You said The Last of Us, would you be able to play it? It's on PS Plus.
So it's those games they're hyping plus the catalog of what's on there, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So those are the big ones that are coming soon, but there's a big catalog of games there right now.
Yeah.
And that's not too shabby. That's not a bad deal. Especially like going back beyond PS4, because some of that stuff is just stuff that never came to PC.
I guess so. The second question I have is, I have a Windows controller. When Xbox had the Windows version of the Xbox controller. I wonder if I'll be able to. I should be able to use that controller, right? I mean, come on, PlayStation. Do I have to buy a PS4?
No. They actually are saying on here you need a DualShock 4 controller.
Oh no.
They're drawing their line in the sand on you, Bo.
Can users connect to their Windows PC to play? Yes, users can connect their DualShock 4 via USB. Well, hopefully, an enterprising and budding programmer will create a software program that'll allow you to,
that'll emulate it. It'll be like, oh, it's a PS4 controller. Now, that said, I will say this. The PS4 controller, and this is not an endorsement or anything, but like, just personal preference, I think the PS4 controller is my favorite controller I've ever owned, and it does work on the PC.
It's not hatred for it. They just
as universally recognized as the Xbox controller, which is the only thing that prevents me from using a DualShock 4 for my PC. But I mean, I certainly have no qualms hooking up a PS4 controller to my PC because I love that controller.
I gotta think somebody's gonna make like a hack for this, depending on how popular it gets to. I mean, controllers are not sophisticated. tech.
The thing that I really, really like, and that was honestly kind of reassuring, is Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He was
Okay.
interviewed talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
and he said a thing at the end that really gave me a lot of potential hope for Sony, because you asked Scott and I a couple weeks ago, you said, if you had to buy one right now, you just were locked into a console, which one would you get?
Yeah.
And we struggled a lot with that. And one of the reasons I struggled is, as a company, I love everything Microsoft's saying, and I hated everything Sony was saying.
Right.
But Jim Ryan puts out a quote that I really, really like at the end of this, and he says, "The track record of the incumbent platform winning the next time around is not a great one. So the major thrust of my executive energy is to avoid complacency."
Oh, so I guess they recognize that Windows is making a strong play, that
Mhm.
Microsoft is making a strong play, that there's a dominant, there's a fight between an incumbent and I think a fairly influential upstart in Epic, right? I mean, Epic's still fledgling, a lot of criticisms, but Epic as a company is very influential in the gaming, AAA gaming space. So they've got to like cut their corner. Nintendo's got to share in there, and they know they
Yeah.
can't. They just, it's weird because they're competitors to Nintendo, but at the same time, they have wholly different products. So they can't
Right.
compete by just making the same thing but better. They've got to just make their thing more appealing, I think. And Xbox is there to yeah, it's sort of coming in on all sides, and it's gaming, right? It's not like essential goods and services where people go without food.
Yeah.
People can easily just say, well, I'll wait for a sale. Well, I'll, get this thing and maybe get that thing later, or I won't get anything at all. The Apple, I guess we have to wait for Scott. I don't know if he said anything on the other shows or not. He probably wanted to talk about it this week. So we'll probably talk about it next week, but also the Apple gaming business apparently is quite good. Early reports suggest. So
Yeah, people are saying it's pretty legit.
So is the list of games under free games for this? I'm just curious to see.
So I found it on, and I will go ahead and just send you the link so you can look at it. This website, and then there's a section where it says PS Now Games, and you can click where it says PS Now Games List. You can go down and see what all is in there.
Oh, some PS Now. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then games. All right. And I've got the US store, which is usually the same for these guys as Canada, but there are some differences. Xbox, I can't go to the US Xbox store. I got to go to the Canada store. So it's possible some games aren't on there. See all games. All right. Oh, what's an overlay? That's gross. Whoa, what's a Bastard's Tale?
It's new, apparently.
I'm like, don't you mean a Bard's Tale? What's a Bastard's? Jeez. Okay. And the scroll button won't work for me. So.
Look, Game of Thrones has made it acceptable to just really get into this whenever you want.
They really need to rethink how this website is designed. Jeepers creepers. Wow, there's a lot under A, and it's a big list under A. Nothing's jumping out at me yet. But there's a lot of indie games that are also, I think, exclusive. All the Batman games are on here. That's cool. I don't know. Anything jumped out at you? Blood Bowl 2 is on here?
Well, it's a little more difficult. There's not much that I feel like I missed, but you did say the Uncharted. It looks like all of them are on here.
Sweet. So I can play all the Uncharted games. Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, Uncharted 4. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said The Last of Us is on there. What other big PlayStation exclusives are there that I'm not?
Well, there was the Spider-Man game, but I don't think that's going to be on there because I think that would have been in the news if it was going to make it. But
yeah, no Final Fantasy's on here. I know Final Fantasy has long been a Sony exclusive, but not that I'm really looking to play that necessarily. But I'm just trying to think of the games. Well, that's cool, man. I think now we enter the streaming portion back into the conversation. Is it jank? Because if it's jank, then no bueno. But for 10, is it? And it's not like a limited time $10. It's just $10 now.
$10 a month.
And they got Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition on here, a game I still haven't got to. I'm supposed to play that with a controller.
Now, some of these, there might be some overlap too with the Microsoft one or some other one. You never know. You could be getting some of the same games. The Infamous games are on here. I really liked all of those. Those were good.
Like
Justice is a fantastic
the
game.
Small criticism would be, and maybe I didn't really read anything, but it sounds like you have to play these games with the DualShock. No mention of mouse and keyboard. There are, I'm sure, some games that are designed to run with a controller, but like a game like Pillars of Eternity, I'm probably not going to want to play it on this platform, especially when the other platform, Xbox, with a much smaller library, does offer me mouse and keyboard gameplay with the games I have.
And you can download it as opposed to being straight.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I think this is going to be like I don't care that much about like the type of person that's going to be really into this is going to be, I don't care that much about it. I don't have to buy a PlayStation, but I've got a PC level. I mean, I've always, for the past like decade or so, I've had a PC hooked to my TV, like just a full-on PC. I have a second PC. You can get a janky, cheap PC that'll run video, no problem. And, if I had a kid right now and the kid would want to play video games, and I'd be like, well, I can't afford to buy got a Nintendo, can't buy a PlayStation. I might fork over $10 and say it's not going to be the best of quality, but you can play your PlayStation games on PC. It's only costing me $10. So I think there could be a strong case for something like this, but I don't know, man. I may just get it to play Last of Us.
Yeah,
the second one comes
honestly
out soon,
Last
right?
of Us is good enough to warrant $10 to play it for a month, and you'll beat it in that month, and maybe check something else out. It has all the God of Wars, so I think this is a cool thing. It makes me really excited because there was a part of me that thought Sony was going to do what it did in the PlayStation 3 era, which was, hey guys, we're Sony, we're number one, whatever, we're going to just keep going, throw money at us because we're Sony. But like this sort of decision makes it seem like, no, we're putting on the gloves, we're going to fight, we're all going to fight to get your dollars, and when everybody's fighting, we win. Like, that's when everybody's hungry for it. And right now, it had kind of felt like Sony maybe wasn't that hungry.
Yeah, there's
lots
here. Like, it's hard to hate on this right now until it demonstrates that it's pretty bad. I would like to see downloadable games and PC controllers, but like for what it is and for the price that it is, this seems like, because you don't have the great thing about like subbing, and it's also an annoyance when there's too much of it. But like, because like right now I'm subbed to Netflix, so I don't have an Amazon. I only try to sub to one like video streaming service at a time. Right. So if there's some big, like, I'm glad I'm subbed to Netflix right now because I'm looking forward to El Camino, and I think there's something else on there that I'm really looking forward to. But like, once I'm done with it, I can go to do the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, think about, imagine no new games were released right now. Like, think about how amazing, like, this is like, you could, have this one sub for years and have lots to do. They've got new Doom on here. That's cool. And if they're looking to compete, I imagine these big name drops like Uncharted 4, God of War, like there'll be more coming soon as well. Because, Xbox set the bar pretty high by launching like a flagship IP on their streaming service, Gears of War 5.
Right.
Like, it was, I mean, I played it. I loved it. I even still have it installed. And it's very cool. I think this is a great, sweet move. Yeah. We'll see.
I'm excited. But speaking of everybody's streaming offerings, one other little news tidbit here that I just thought was interesting. I noticed today, so we talked about games we're really excited about, and Scott and I were pretty excited about the Outer Worlds kind of game. Mm-hmm. And you were a little, I don't know. It's worth my time. I don't know if it's worth my energy. You were lukewarm, we'll say.
I have to find out if it's like...
What if I told you could try it for free?
Yeah.
What if free was the price for this, Bo, and you could get your answer all you wanted?
It's essentially free because I bought 2 months, right? Like the deal I got was $2 for 2 months. $2 per month for 2 months. And then back to like $14.99. Oh, interesting too that Xbox costs more than the PlayStation positioned one.
It does.
Um,
So what we're talking about is The Outer Worlds, the new game from Obsidian. It has been confirmed is going to be launch day available to Game Pass members on both Xbox and PC. So if you have either one of those subscriptions or the Ultimate, you are going to be able to play The Outer Worlds as soon as it comes out.
I have a few questions about this, and this is really
Okay.
interesting. Whoa, sorry everyone. Ad played. I don't think John heard it, but everyone in the chat
I
just said,
didn't.
beep, 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 beep. Okay, so thankfully it wasn't anything, inappropriate. The first thing I have to say is, so if Xbox, and I can't really comment on, I mean, PlayStation might do this too, but if Xbox looks at someone like me and says, sweet, we got everyone in for $2 or $1
Mhm.
or whatever. Now at the end of it, when they're done with their little experiment, they probably going to have a high rate of discontinuance, right?
Sure.
So what's the retention plan? So Outer Worlds, which is highly regarded, there's hype around it, it's Obsidian. I'm not immune to the good word about this game. Makes it so that I'm like, maybe I won't unsubscribe this month.
Right.
And so every month now I'm thinking every month they have to put something in there to make you go, I could unsubscribe, but I'm not going to because X.
But that only becomes a bad deal for you, the consumer, if you don't play it.
Right.
If you play it, you're technically ahead.
Right. But I think the psychology is that, like, I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I have some gaming time, and like I can install this game, play for 2 hours. And if I don't like it, I can get rid of it, but I'm already subbed. I'm already stuck on the $15. So maybe I play some more Gears of War 2. The one thing is I'm wondering about this. We talk a lot about Epic and how they're just giving money for exclusivity. I didn't really think too much about it with Gears because I'm like, I know the Coalition made Gears 5, but it still feels like it's a Microsoft joint in some way. I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, how are they making money? I don't know. Microsoft's just making money. It doesn't matter. But I don't like. What's the deal between Obsidian and Microsoft?
I think Microsoft is the publisher behind it.
But also behind Outer Worlds?
I don't think so.
Like I just never. I didn't think about it. I'm like, how is a Coalition making money by putting their game on here? It's like, who knows? Probably a ton of people subbed, and it's being a bit of a loss leader. But my perception is that Obsidian's like external. There's got to be money that's changed hands, a deal made.
Although I don't remember. I think Microsoft might have purchased Obsidian.
Oh.
Now, I believe that I could be wrong. I might be just making all of this up. So anyone can feel free to fact check me because I'm trying to recall stuff from months ago. But my belief is that Obsidian started development on this and it was going to be multi-platform, but they got purchased by Microsoft during development. So The Outer Worlds is still going to come out on multiple platforms, but Obsidian is officially now a Microsoft studio.
Oh, well, then maybe never mind a bit on it, but I was kind of curious about how they make those arrangements, right? Because I mean, Outer Worlds, it's not an exclusive, right? To Epic. I don't think it was. I couldn't be, right?
I think it's for everybody.
Yeah,
I believe.
So
let me
it just seems weird because Outer Worlds is selling in a lot of places.
Outer Worlds is going to be on PS4, Switch, Xbox One, and Windows. So
I mean,
even though they're owned by Microsoft, it's out on everything.
I guess what I'm thinking is this: like, if I'm Epic or if I'm a vendor carrying this game, Outer Worlds, we're like, we're excited to carry a game, whatever, and then you wake up and find out the news that your game is also being on this cheap subscriber service. Why am I carrying this game for? Because you're basically giving it away, and Microsoft is you're clearly not putting it on Microsoft Store for nothing. Like money, I don't know if do they count like the number of plays you get so much money? Is it just a flat sum? Like, I wonder how that works. How Outer Worlds looks at this and goes, "Oh, that's a good deal." You know, we could just sell it at a full price, or we could do this other thing, and that's a better move for us.
I'm sure there's some flat like rate, like, hey, we're gonna give you this much money to make it available on our service at such and such a date. That would make up for X amount of sales in the market direct to you.
That's what
Plus, here's the other thing that is valuable to a developer, right? So one of the big things that developers hate is used games because they make zero profit on that. So you go to the store, you buy a game from GameStop, you play it, you go, I don't like this, you trade it in at GameStop, I show up, I buy it used. That's now two people who have played the game, but they only got the money for one purchase of that game because GameStop got 100% of the used sale.
Right.
So if Microsoft is saying, hey, let's get people using this digital, and by them subscribing, that feeds our bottom line, we can then turn around and pay the developer X amount of money as this amount of guaranteed sales. That might be more profitable to them than running the risk of putting it out in retail, which they still get to do on PlayStation 4 and Switch. And, you know, they can still do it for Xbox and PC. It's just, if you're a subscriber, you also can do this other thing.
Okay, so basically it's like they're losing less money.
Yeah,
so thereby
potentially. I mean, more money. You'd have to look at their spreadsheets to know, but I think that's the theory from the outside looking in.
Yeah. Okay. So Retrios TFC says, both developers now part of Microsoft Studios team, fully owned by Microsoft. So I feel like once you're owned, that kind of money gets shut. You know, when it's interdepartmental, the shuffling of money is easier than if you're a third party. So I thought maybe Obsidian was a third party in this. So something to think about for the future then. I just think those wheels get greased really easily if Microsoft owns the company that's launching the big title. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense to me. So then they can be less, I think in this case too, I think like if you're Steam or you're Epic, maybe you feel, you know, like, oh, whatever about it. I just think if it's a third party developer kind of deal, we'll see. Maybe the next game will be a Blizzard game. No, it won't be.
I don't know. Did you hear? This is not actually related at all to what we're talking about, but did you hear Jeff Kaplan, his comments to Nintendo?
No.
Which was, you can have any one of our Overwatch characters to put in Smash Brothers. Just automatic approval, whichever one you want, take them.
Oh, wow.
It's just a blanket statement. Just go ahead and pick it.
That's a cozy little relationship, right? You know, Blizzard's not a company you think of having, you know, some developers are like, oh, they make a lot of games for Xbox or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But Blizzard's kind of got a cozy little nudge over to Nintendo. Yeah. But I guess like they're in no way really a competitor. Like you can kind of think like Blizzard, wow, they still want to take eyeballs or gaming time or space away from, you know, Xbox and PlayStation back games and stuff, but like Nintendo's just safe.
Yeah.
Blizzard's not doing anything that Nintendo's doing, so I don't know, it's cool. Have you played Smash? It's actually the new Smash. It's like an epileptic seizure. They should call it epilepsy, bros.
I mean, I haven't played. Well, I guess I played the 3DS version of the one prior to this, but I haven't played since Melee.
I got a chance to play at my friend's house one night a little bit, and you played on a big, 60-inch TV. It's now 1080p. The graphics are just like lightning bolts and flashes, and I'm like, I can't see where my guy is, and I'm like, I don't think it's because I'm getting older. I think this game is actually just it's fueled by cocaine.
It's just, you know what though? Here's why I love Smash. I am a sucker for having more playable characters. If a game comes to me and says, we've got the biggest roster we've ever had, it doesn't matter if I don't really care about the game or even who they're putting on there. I'm like, oh, a lot of characters? Great. That sounds fantastic. Like if the next Mortal Kombat comes out and they go, well, we're going back to 3D and but we're gonna do 100 characters, I'd be like, 100 characters? That's amazing. That's value. I want to get in there.
Yeah, it is fun, and we have that from our heroes pedigree, right? I mean, they just keep the rate at which they added heroes to Heroes of the Storm was unlike the other MOBAs, and it was great. It was fantastic. Although those days are behind us now, but
those days are gone. Yeah, that's true.
But still, cool. Yeah, I would gladly play. Who would you want to be the hero that they added? Like, it has to be Tracer because she's the Mario of Overwatch, right?
So that's actually what Jeff Kaplan said. He said he did give his personal vote. He was like, if I had to pick, I would say take Tracer. She's our, she's essentially our mascot for the game. Can you
imagine a character that teleports like and goes in freaking Smash? Like, ugh.
I am also admittedly a big fan of Tracer, so that might be where I wind up. Which is a boring answer. It's like me saying, if you were like, John, what fantasy race would you put in a RPG we're putting together? And I was like, human.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just gonna give the human answer and say, probably Tracer.
It just seems like she's, she's a gun-based character, and are there gun-based characters in Smash? I can't remember if Star Fox shoots a gun or if he. Yeah, it's a fighting game, right? Like, they might have a gun as an ultimate or a weird move, but like not a basic attack, right?
Oh, Samus pulls out her blaster arm and blasts people.
Okay, cool. I just
never
played.
I
didn't play
is
Samus.
Shooting people, and
Okay. Then I guess it works. I guess any of them would work.
Yeah, it's just toys. Like that's the canon of Smash Brothers. Is they're all just toys.
Winston is the clear pick, but I guess they got Donkey Kong. It'd be a good skin.
Oh, that would be great. They could lean in. They could add a bunch of Overwatch stuff.
This can protect us. Actually, why don't they just make Overwatch Smash? Over Smash.
I mean, they could do that too. It's not beyond Blizzard to take a property and just go, well, what if we did it?
How much you want to bet there's an incubator working on a Blizzard Smash that will never see the light of day because everything gets canceled before. But somebody over there is working on Smash, Blizzard Smash.
I think that's very, very possible. I'm just looking at what people were picking. Wrecking Ball, But to me, like, that's the thing is if you're going to put a character in Smash Brothers, you do want it to be iconic and not like we put the freaking ball hamster in the game.
No, Nintendo's got enough of that anyways.
Yeah, it feels...
I like Wrecking Ball, but Wrecking Ball would be like, if they added the whole roster, then add Wrecking Ball. But yeah, I wouldn't add... But they got some weird stuff in Smash, like that, what is it, your Amiibo Man or something? Or no, the Wii Sports person. I'm like, who wants to play that?
The Wii Fit trainer.
I'm just like, who wants to play that? Like, no, thank you. But I mean, there's just so much in there that you're not mad about it. You're not like there was 10 hero slots and you picked the Wii Sports guy for one of the slots. It's like there's 5,000. I mean, well, whatever. If you don't like it, just don't play it. But I still kind of hate the notion of the Wii Sports person in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Hey. Bo, speaking of characters appearing in video games.
Sure.
Mortal Kombat 11 put out a teaser video for a new one.
Ooh, I didn't see this. And I won't be able to watch it with sound because I'm the one doing the recording of the show.
Which is a little unfortunate because the part I want you to key in on is the sound because
we're allowed to do like a little bit of sound, right? Like maybe
probably.
Okay, so was it MK Terminator?
Yeah.
All right.
Because I want you to hear, because Arnold isn't doing the voice. So the news story again, just to back it up a little bit, they're putting the Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11. We kind of already knew this was happening,
knew because of the drums or something.
Yeah. Now we have gameplay. Now we can see it. Now we can see what it looks like and sounds like. And
so they picked old Terminator.
So this was another thing I wanted to talk about.
And also, why when he punches he has purple gas? He's got Sylvanas' abilities.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's just Terminator powers.
I guess so. The shotgun's cool.
But they didn't get Arnold, and it sounds most of the time wrong.
Oh, does it? Okay, well, I'm gonna get to the end right now. I'm gonna skip through. I'm watching him beat up Jax here.
It's really the him talking at the beginning is where it's bad. At the end, he actually says, "Get over here," but like Arnold, and it doesn't sound terrible. But it's the beginning when he's talking about how he's an android or robot or something
Is it
like
at the
that.
beginning that he has a
Yeah.
voice? Okay, hang on. I'm just watching the ultimate finish him
The
move.
ultimate is the finisher is really good and kind of makes up for it.
Oh god.
So
Okay.
just to explain
Yeah.
for the podcasters, the finishing move of the Terminator is he detects one of those time bubbles, that burns like a orb in everything it touches, and it appears around the opponent he's fighting, which of course cuts their legs off because they're not in it perfectly. They are then transported into the robot future without legs, where they begin to try to crawl away from an army of Terminators approaching them, who then proceed to blast their chest cavity apart.
Oh my god. I watched it. It's pretty awesome. Man, they're just knocking it out of the park with these finishers. Hang on. I'm going to play the sound. You won't hear it though. But chat
You
room.
are also a cyborg.
No, just cybernetically enhanced.
You will be terminated.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah,
They
it's
did-
not as close as you want it to be.
Yeah, and they didn't do like a schlocky version, right? It's someone trying to play Arnold straight,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's still cool though. Although there must be a skin for young Terminator. I just find it weird. Play as Grandpa Terminator, and I'm like, the new movie where he's Grandpa Terminator is not out yet, so I don't know if I need to be excited about that or not.
Yeah, there's an element when I was watching it, and there is a point eventually where the skin burns off and then the robot's just walking around. But
Yeah.
prior to that happening, I was watching it and I was like, this kind of just looks like Arnold showed up and started beating up a bunch of video game characters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what his character wears. Well, actually, you know what? This outfit that he's got on is not like the
Isn't
leather suit from
Terminator.
the 80s. Like, it's probably what he wears in the new movie, which is like Gap jeans and like, a jacket from where do we buy jackets nowadays? I don't know.
Well, I live in Arizona. The need to buy a jacket comes
What-
up very rarely.
Chat room, what are the stores in the world? Just like, I don't know, Walmart, I guess. Like, it looks too
Yeah.
nice for Walmart, but like some store. Anyways.
Yeah. It doesn't look like the Terminator. It just looks like Arnold.
I mean, they've been doing really well and it looks awesome, so I'm not unhappy about this, but at the same
No.
time, I'm like, you shouldn't have led with Grandpa Terminator. That's, I need the glasses and yeah.
And we got Linda Hamilton in Gears, but it either is Linda Hamilton or it sounds
What do you
exactly
think happened
like
with
her.
that? What do you think happened with that? So Gears 5 gets Linda Hamilton and the Terminator skeleton, but not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I guess they don't get him for Mortal Kombat either. Did they? It's her.
They
it's-
got his likeness. He looks like him.
How did that? What happened to Gears? They're like, damn it, we didn't get his likeness. We got Linda Hamilton's. Like,
They spent the Dave Bautista money.
I guess so. I guess that maybe the Dave Bautista thing was like, hey Dave, do you want to do this? Because Arnold got scooped by NetherRealm. I don't know, right? Like, can he appear in more than one game? I don't know. It's super weird.
I just like this world we live in where celebrities are just like snatched off the street and thrown into video games now. It's like,
Oh,
hey
yeah.
Batista, you want to be in Gears? I guess. Get in here. We got to scan you in.
I mean, these are authorized versions, but the time of the deep fake is coming.
That's
You
true.
You never know who might show up in your these third party games. Like, can you imagine playing Last of Us, but where someone reskinned it to be other actors just because they can?
Yeah.
Like, John Wick's in Cyberpunk, so you take the John Wick business and you make him. It's John Wick in The Last of Us and not Gravel Throat McCotness.
Well, and that's the other thing. How long till it just becomes memes? I mean, right now we're on a Terminator that's basically just Arnold fighting. How far of a leap is that before someone's like, just wouldn't it be funny if it was Nicolas Cage?
Well,
Well,
that's
like
what I
one of
mean.
his characters. No, just like Nicolas Cage. And like that's just who you pick. It's just
Well,
Nicolas
I
Cage.
think when it comes to Nicolas Cage, if deep faking of video games, we evolve in that direction, there'll be a pirate version of Mortal Kombat 11, and it's all Nick Cage faces on all the
Bo,
characters.
I have an idea.
all the girls, all the guys, all the
on.
monsters, the dogs, all the cinematics.
First of all, I want to live in your future. That sounds great. Second, here it is. They do put Nicolas Cage in Mortal Kombat, and they just dress him like Johnny Cage, but they just call him Nicolas Cage. He's just a
Right.
complete stand-in for Johnny Cage, but
Like,
it's Nicolas
just
Cage
as its own
across the
hero,
board.
like its own DLC hero.
Yep, just Nicolas Cage. Everything else is a pure match of Johnny Cage, but with a different first name
And what is it?
and
What
his
is-
voice and likeness.
what is this thing? It was the Hornets or something.
No, not the bees.
Yeah. I mean, that's who they really should have gotten. That would have made waves. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Nick Cage probably be like, whatever.
Yeah, I'll do it. Give me a check.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick Cage would be so on board for that, right? Right? It's the anti-video
Probably.
game.
His last name comes from Luke Cage because he's into
What?
comics. So that's not a far jump from.
Oh,
yeah, his real name
his
is
stage name. His stage name
yeah.
you got from Luke Cage.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, because he's a comic book dork.
Oh, that's okay. Then he should be totally
Like,
into this.
I mean, like me, I'm not trying to. Use
maybe
that
he asked too much
disparagingly,
money. Maybe it's maybe he asked for too much. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Mortal Kombat, still I think delivering pretty good DLC characters. I need to
Yeah,
play
I
that
haven't
game at some point.
gotten. I haven't gotten in since they put
Is
anybody
that on
other than Shang
PlayStation
Tsung
Plus?
in. Well, maybe.
Is that on the PlayStation Plus store?
Or on the Xbox that you're already subscribed to, or any other place.
Oh, I don't think 11's on there. I think Xbox has got a little bit of the epic syndrome, in that there's no convenient way to just search the list of games on there. It's like,
Yeah, we need. So there's that Just Watch website for where to stream movies and stuff. That's kind of essential nowadays. We need that for like Just Play.
we're
just
gonna
to
need
know-
that. Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat 10 is on PlayStation Plus, but not 11, which makes sense.
10 was what you were playing not too long
Yeah,
ago,
I own
right?
10, so I don't really need to play it anywhere else. But yeah, 11. I love the schlocky story. I do want to play through the campaign. Netherrealm or Earthrealm is in danger. We must go to what's the other realm? Outer Realm.
Liu Kang, my medallion shattered. It sucks.
I mean, the stories. It must be fun being a writer on that because you're like, I can phone this in.
Oh yeah, just go crazy. Just go crazy.
Oh,
like-
that's bad. I hope whoever works on that is not listening. And like,
I wouldn't describe it as phone it. Just, it's that place where you lean back and you go, "Can we do that?" And in Mortal Kombat Land, the answer is yes.
yeah, not easy, but just you're off the leash in terms of continuity and stuff like that. I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Have you logged into BattleNet recently?
I have.
Did you notice something's missing as of yesterday?
I didn't log in yesterday.
One of your icons has now disappeared
Is it
because
Destiny
Destiny 2.
All right, it's
or
gone.
Destiny 2, as I spelled it.
Destiny.
Destiny has moved to Steam
I'm gonna put
and
a
is
little
no
mark.
longer on BattleNet.
I dropped a really quiet f-bomb, so I'm going to mark it.
I didn't even hear it.
I know, and I quickly corrected with an F, but it was there. Let me mark that. Sorry, chat room.
Look at you being respectful.
I mean, family values. Anyways, Destiny.
Destiny 2 has moved to Steam.
That's great.
Did you manage to transfer your characters or did you not care?
I did
think you're
transfer it because there's stuff about that game that's really good, and there's stuff about that game that's just god awful. So there's a chance I might play it on. Like, it's going to be a game. It's going to be Destiny 2 for me is the type of game where I feel like a shooter. I don't have anything in mind that I want to play, and I'm digging through my library, and I'm just going to pick that. There's a lot of stuff that takes priority. It was on the list when I decided to play Doom this weekend because I had that. And that's ultimately the thing, is that, like, I don't, let me put it this way. I don't care very much for a lot of the stuff in Destiny 2. I think a lot of it's, I don't even know what the word is, just unsatisfying, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's a game for me that has always been carried on extremely good gameplay, but nothing else that appeals to me.
yeah, like the shooting mechanics are good, moving around feels good. I kind of like the abilities. I really dislike their weapon and itemization system. It just
Right.
feels like I think what ends up happening is most of the time you get the guns you really like, and then you end up with a bunch of other JPEGs that you just trash constantly that are just worthless. And
Yeah.
it's that whole item level grind from World of Warcraft that is also not a fun aspect for me, really. So I didn't find that particularly satisfying in the way that, in Borderlands, which is similar, I think, you sometimes get a gun that, farts or something like that. There's more opportunities there. I just find that the guns in Destiny very boring, and in term for the kind of game that it is, it's a loot game. We'll put interesting crap in there, like they don't do anything, and except the bow they added was very fun to use. But I got that one bow in the expansion, and that's all I used the whole time I played the expansion, because nothing more interesting came along, including other bows. So I was like, I feel like there's a lot of effort put in some places, and maybe that serves the people who like the game a lot, but not me. So
No, I don't think you're wrong. And I think this is why I feel like this genre hasn't been tapped yet. And I know there's this feeling and this general consensus of like, oh, it's another looter shooter. But I don't think anybody's done it right yet, because here's the thing. I'm sitting here tempted to buy Borderlands 3, even though I have no doubt it's going to be a game that I turn the sound off while I play
sure.
and get frustrated by the intro of and kind of zone out. But because it does elements of what I really want to play so well, I'm still kind of wanting it. And I feel that pull to play Destiny 2 again, because it does other elements of that so well that I want to get back into it. And I look at those two games, and I think even if you combine the two of them, you don't have the perfect game, but you're getting there. And that's why I think there's still a place for the right company to make the right game to just slip in and really take it and make something amazing. Because that drive for a Diablo style loot type game where it's a shooter with cool weapons and an interesting, compelling world and story and all of that, I think could be really big. I still think nobody has nailed it yet.
No, and I just wonder if it's a resource thing or whatever, because I would say, like, when I was looking for the shooter to play and I picked Doom, there's very specific reasons why I would play that again over Destiny 2. And one is there's a limited amount of guns, but they're all interesting and function very differently. So they're useful in different situations. But more importantly, I would level this criticism at Warframe and Borderlands as well as Destiny. The monster designs are very boring. And Doom has chess pieces that, when you have a Hell Knight and then you have a Cacodemon, your approach to the battlefield is different when you got imps pelting you, and then there's a Baron of Hell hanging around.
Yeah.
And by the way, those Barons of Hell, they have predictive. There's something they do with the AI where the AI for the Barons. See, most of the monsters just kind of follow you where you'll go, so you can kind of lead them. Those predict where you'll be and will path farther around in order to jump out at you from other places pretty organically, and it's unnerving because they're also like the highest damage like dudes in the game. But that makes it interesting. Right. And the other game that I would call in to this court of lunacy
Games.
This kangaroo court would be Diablo 3. I don't know about Diablo 2 as much. It's not as prescient in my mind or anything, but Diablo 3 has really interesting monster designs. The one I always think of is there's those big beasts with little beasts on them, and then when you hit them they shake and a whole bunch of beasts come out and they proc your explosives because they have low HP, but there's a ton of them. Like, there's some just really cool mechanical designs for monsters in Diablo 3, some really, really cool ones. And so I would like to see in a looter shooter that's a first person shooter you know those death maidens that spin around and form a field around them? Like, let's get
Yeah.
that in a shooter, please. Like, how hard can that be? Like, why did, like, and everything in Destiny is basically a Call of Duty soldier unit that's a little fatter, a little bigger, different shapes, but you headshot them and they're just humanoid and not interesting at all. And I think you can have those, but they need to like go way further to make a game I think that's deserving of like praise as a looter shooter. I think Borderlands comes out ahead the most on all these because they do have differently play, like those robots where you shoot headshot them in the thing, and the big Winston like Yetis and stuff like that. But like I would say there's what you were saying, like just emphasizing what you're saying, is a lot of the bar is really low, and they're like, oh, these monster designs are fine. I'm like, look at Doom, and Doom's putting more new weird monsters that'll have more weird mechanics that you have to figure out how to beat in that first person shooter space. So I'd really like to see like Diablo 3 and Doom have a child, and then one of these games put that out there in the looter shooter thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of rooms for ways for them to improve. Because like I'm even seeing it in like Gears 5. Like the enemies in Gears 5 are more interesting than what's in most looter shooters at the moment. Like it's just a different style of game around it, and it's not one that's really loot based. But and you also saw a similar thing like that in Halo, where it was, okay, well, here's my approach if it's these enemies, but if it's these types of enemies, I have to change it up in this way. Like people have been doing interesting first-person shooter encounters for a while now, and to me, there's really no excuse for not finding a way to put it in your game.
Yeah, I would level that at Gears as well. Like I've been playing a lot of Horde mode, and there's just humanoids, right? Like there's not much inspiring in terms of monster design, and maybe that's really hard.
I don't think their monster design is interesting, but I think the way I go about fighting them is interesting.
It is.
Not because the monsters themselves are good, but because the amount of ammo they give you, the way you reload, and the way you acquire new gear makes for compelling. Like it's a game where you should just be ducked behind cover and shooting over it, and you almost universally be safe because you're just behind cover all the time. But they have managed to keep the ammo counts low enough to where you are frequently inspired to move outside of cover to grab something, and then give you occasionally these really big cool guns that are super powerful, but they're only going to last so long, and you kind of have to expose yourself to use them properly, which puts you in more danger, and you can't take that many hits. Yeah. So I think you're right. It's less about the monster, but they set up scenarios that are compelling and interesting that make it better than just, oh, I stood there and shot the thing.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, a lot of these games get a lot right, but I really find just from an inspiration point, like those monsters in Diablo are pretty easy to kill, but they just look cool and do different things, you know. We don't have to model our games after Call of Duty. Like PlanetSide 2 is the worst offender of that. Like PlanetSide 1 was a sweet game that was its own thing, and PlanetSide 2 is like Call of Duty but PlanetSide, and I guess there was a period in time, and even now Call of Duty is like a franchise that I'm sure a lot of games want to learn lessons from and emulate or whatever, and predict that's what audiences would like to play or what they themselves as developers like to play. But I think when you're doing looter shooters, you need to make interesting, just put humanoid designs in there. Like, keep all this good stuff you have, but they need to emphasize a lot more. I don't know, just Doom kind of does it right. It's kind of that sweet spot for me. So
yeah.
That's even why, like, I would say, like, I could have reinstalled Rage 2. I haven't finished it yet, but Rage 2 is full of just humanoids for the most part, and some big humanoids. Like, there's not much interesting going on, even though they give you interesting guns. So,
yeah. I think there's a place for it. I mean, not to say that every game has to have crazy monsters in it, but you know, that's what I give, you know, a lot of Tom Clancy games crap for, is like, not that those are bad games, but I know those shouldn't be my cup of tea because it's going to be just fighting a bunch of people. You know, I know I'm not going to run into a monster in one of those.
I feel like military shooters are a genre, and in that genre, it's like you shoot a guy one or two times and they're down, because it's kind of emulating that real life shooting, right? Counter-Strike. A few weeks ago, I watched a lot of pro Counter-Strike. I got kind of into it. It's pretty interesting, but it's lethal because it's emulating military. But like, if you're in a looter shooter, you're going to pummel 5,672 bullets into a monster or whatever the number. Like, that gameplay is it's RPG. It's very different. It's not real life, and that's part of the fun, is that monsters are challenging because of the unique mechanics that are presented that you have to grapple with. And then when there's a bunch of different types, how do you solve that puzzle, and et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah. Well,
that's good for
speaking
Destiny, though.
Of Blizzard,
Yeah,
mentioned again.
Yeah.
We're coming up on BlizzCon. We've got about a month before BlizzCon happens again. And you found a interesting story that makes me pretty happy. It's the kind of messaging you want to hear going into BlizzCon, I would say. Some people might call it damage control. I think it's a little bit of that. I mean, we're past the point of damage.
We're past the point of damage control. Like, if that... It was definitely a Blizzard level damage control article if it took them, a year to put out the damage control.
When it's ready.
When
we
will the damage
control
control...
the damage when it's ready.
I can just imagine the Blizzard building being on fire, and then the developers are in a meeting going like, should we spray the hose left to right or up and down? Which provides the best fire extinguishing that's satisfying?
What feels better? It might not be the easiest way. But
and Jalen Brack's outside waving down the firefighters like, nope, you can't come in yet, not until we've decided how we're going to deal with the fire. But yeah.
Do you want to go into? I mean, you found it, so I'll let you go.
Yeah. So yeah, this is. I mean, I found it early before the show, but it was released yesterday. J. Allen Brack did an interview on GameSpot. Excuse me, sorry about that. I did an interview on GameSpot. I have a bug on my forehead. No, it's a lint. Okay, sorry. I just caught a glimpse of myself. And
everything happens to Bo as soon as he needs to talk about a news story. Coughs, lints on his forehead,
lints,
everything.
I'm buying time.
All attacks you right at once.
All right, so J. Allen Brack did an interview at GameSpot, a fairly lengthy one, and because it's a GameSpot article, it's not like a gotcha thing. It's kind of a press release in the form of an interview. But one of the most interesting things is to say that they saw what happened at BlizzCon last year, and I don't think it showed up on the live broadcast. So if you watched on a BlizzCon ticket, I mean, you've probably heard stuff, but it's hard to trust, the polemic on the internet. But let me tell you, I was shocked to hear booing on 2 occasions during the opening ceremony, loud booing, and I'm like, we're here to celebrate BlizzCon, and come on, booing. And I don't even, is that a first? How many BlizzCons have you gone to?
I've gone to all but I believe 2 of them.
How much booing have you ever heard during opening ceremony? Was that the only time?
No. Notoriously, there's one other major booing incident that gets fairly overlooked. I don't remember which BlizzCon it was, but it was one that's I think it was the Geek Is BlizzCon, because it was one where they kind of notoriously had nothing to announce.
But was that during ceremony or was that after?
So the booing wasn't during the Metzen bit because everybody was still sitting there going, well, maybe they've got something. Maybe they've got something. The booing came the second day, or during the concerts. I can't remember which employee it was. They're no longer there at the company, but they came out and they said, hey, we've got a lot of things we're working on. I'm sure you've all heard about little things like Project Titan, because this was back in the Project Titan days still.
Oh, good.
And he says, y'all want a sneak peek at what Blizzard's working on? And everyone lost their mind, thinking, man, they made us wait. Why wasn't this in the opening ceremonies?
Oh, no.
I'm so excited.
Oh, no.
And they proceeded to do just pictures of Activision properties with like a Blizzard tint to them. Like trying to make a joke of that, like, oh, Activision's all up in our business. And people started booing like crazy. It was bad.
Was that a well-intentioned sort of joke? Because Blizzard's not immune to humor or the memes they do that went badly, or was it like a gone rogue, gone Sarah Palin?
It was a well-intentioned joke that went bad.
Or Sarah Palin's a maverick, not rogue.
Right.
It's a Jyn Orso kind of situation.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. Okay, so this was, I mean, definitely the result was bad, but it wasn't like this was an unplanned silly thing. Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first time, but you said it was during the concert. Still, it's bad, I think, but they booed twice. They booed for Destiny because everyone's excited. They waited a long lineup, and now they're seeing Destiny shit, which I think just more had to do with the fact that they didn't come here for the Destiny stuff, and the Activision and Blizzard optics have never been the most comfortable with the public at large. Because they're viewed as the big evil brother. But J. Allen Brack was saying they looked back at that footage from the last year and reviewed what went wrong. And he came away with saying that they didn't do enough last year to underscore that Blizzard is a PC focused company. And I think the acknowledgement there is not that, I'm just going to say that because, now everything's gone bad and we're just backpedaling, but really to re-emphasize. And much of the interview focuses on that and the tough questions that we were talking about it last week that we would want answers about. And even in a tone, mind you, this is a written interview, but even in a tone that to me is the first time that I can think of seeing J. Allen Brack speaking in a way that is genuine, personable, and it's definitely PR speak, but definitely not bad news for the first time. It feels like good stuff. He's the one that said that thing about you think you want it but you don't, right?
I thought he was, but I don't remember for sure who
it might
did
be
it.
Ian. That's I don't know. Somebody said it, but he was very much. He went a lot about how they were very proud. It was a very proud moment for them to see World of Warcraft, the classic, make those big inroads. And what they really wanted to drive home is that they are a PC focused company. Him as J. Allen Brack, he wants new StarCraft game. They talk about the canceled StarCraft project very briefly. And the thing that they emphasized a lot in this, I'll get that in a second. I think I'm sort of all over the place a bit. That they're a PC focused company. And the illusion is that with BlizzCon right around the corner, he better not be doing this interview and announcing only mobile games at the next one. This kind of lays some groundwork of expectation, intended or not, right, that you're going out in public on GameSpot and saying we are a PC-focused company. So that's, with the caveat that they are always looking adjacent to other opportunities, and that includes mobile. He said they're moving forward. And answer the question, is Diablo Immortal still a thing? He's like, definitely still a thing. And they definitely believe that it's possible to make mobile games that are high quality. And he even went to say, he said, most gamers will tell you that mobile games are crappy and that it's the large majority. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Basically echoing the things we've said, which sometimes when it comes to Blizzard PR, they'll just say the positive points, and you don't really feel like you're getting the genuine, like, mobile is a great platform and we're excited to be sharing and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yo, speak like one of us. So there was really a sense of, have you ever done empathy training for customer service?
No.
Never spoke with a client, but no. Oh, well, so the idea is, and it's very basic and it's hilarious, but it works like a charm, is if like somebody's mad at you, just paraphrase back what you said to them. You don't even have to agree with them. You don't have to do anything. Just show that you listened. That is like a very strong play in your playbook. Yeah. And that's exactly what he's doing here, is basically just like taking, in general, the kinds of things we've been saying and paraphrasing them back, which I think is something that's been lacking in the PR releases from BlizzCon and since.
Sure. They haven't had much
we have bad
PR
news.
about.
They've been saying things from their position. When you
Yeah.
only hear something from your position and then the person you're speaking to that you're having difficulty with they don't have to agree with you, but takes the act to show that they've heard what you said and they're repeating it back to you and paraphrasing it in order to confirm that they understand. If they did, great. And if they didn't, you can clarify and get to that common ground. That was present in this interview. So I thought it was a good interview. Even if it wasn't like too in depth, it hit on those notes. So I was really happy to hear that.
I'll say this about J. Allen Brack is I feel like he is in a tough spot. He did not come in at a great time. He came in, Mike Morhaime couldn't have been more popular. He came in right as a lot of coverage was getting in, talking about Activision making big plays for Blizzard, big pushes. He came in at the time that they were doing things like gutting Heroes of the Storm, getting rid of esports, getting rid of and firing a ton of community leaders and managers and things like that. He was, he was fresh CEO at that point.
Yeah, he's never done this before, right? Like, it's
I think he gets a lot of that blame put on. Had a BlizzCon, the BlizzCon where it was the passing of the torch. That's where you have Diablo Immortal and not much else really talked about that's exciting. And I just think that as a result, he has become this figurehead of just like, negativity.
Yeah.
And I think some of it's justified. Sure. I mean, chat room is confirming he's the one who said, you think you want it, but you don't. People make flippant comments about things all the time. I do, about many things that I've been wrong about. And I'm sure he probably in retrospect would say, yeah, that was ended up not being true. I was wrong. But, we tend to grab sound bites and we tend to say, oh, well, I liked Blizzard yesterday and now he's in charge and I don't like it as much today. Therefore, he's the problem, and I don't think that's a fair shake. So I think getting a sit-down interview where you get more of his perspective is important if you want to understand more of where these people are coming from.
Yeah, and Blizzard, like the ambassadors, I call them ambassadors because I mean that's what they are when they get up on stage and speak. They definitely don't get a fair shake, I find, in conversations just about the humanity of what they're doing. Like the "do you have phones" thing. The guy, whoever was presenting, was dealing with hostility. Yeah, and it just came out. We all say things. I definitely, doing shows and all kind of I just made a mistake and just get flustered or I get confused in my thought. Like, it's gonna happen, And Chris Metzen did interviews with Scott, and he talked about being deathly nervous. And everyone's like, Chris is a charismatic guy, and like it must be so easy for him. And to find out it's just like scared out of his mind and anxious that. You don't really think about that. So when that becomes a meme, it's just like, give that guy a break. Yeah. And JLM Brack saying you think you want it and you don't. The thing that occurs to me with the release of Classic WoW is, imagine, when did J. Allen Brack start? I mean, when did a lot of employees start there? World of Warcraft gets released. It's a huge success. They hire a bunch of people and they go on improving the game. And then everyone wants that original version of the game. There's a large vocal, maybe it's a minority that's vocal, who knows, but there's a large groundswell, perceived or otherwise, for the classic game. Doesn't it kind of make you feel like if it was me, that it sort of invalidates all the work we've done since then? Like, people are more excited for this old thing than, what was it, 15 years? Like, how many, than the 12 years of work that we put into this game, and they're up there saying, like, retail lost its way, it's a pile of shit. I mean, those people worked on that game. They work long hours and they're very passionate at that company. You kind of just say, it's also like someone going up to Metallica and being like, I like your old albums, man, but your new albums are shit. And it's like, they probably worked just as hard on all the albums. Like, they don't owe you their old style. I mean, you can be disappointed, I guess, but like, you also have to realize that they're working on that stuff and it means something to them. So if anybody, if an artist gets pissed at you for saying something like that, it's because like, that's kind of, to me, that's what classic WoW kind of is. And sure, there's a lot of people like, well, I hope they feel bad because now they'll learn the lesson and make a better game. And I'm like, that's even kind of beside the point, like right. WoW retail is not that bad by any shot. It doesn't even deserve that. So I can see someone being in that position going like, we've worked on this game for 15 years and you want the one that we only worked on for 2?
Yeah, I think I've said those exact words to a friend of mine about a game that I didn't have any emotional investment in, but he wouldn't shut up about GoldenEye. He's like, man, I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy another N64. What do I need to hook it up to my TV? Tell me what I need, because I'm going to get an N64. I'm going to play some GoldenEye again. And he just wouldn't stop talking about it. And finally, as he just kept going on and on, I was like, look, you think you want to play GoldenEye again, but you don't. I was wrong, because guess what? He bought his N64, he bought GoldenEye, and he played the hell out of it. And I got updates all along the way, and he loved it.
Oh,
To me, I had moved on. I was done. I didn't want to go back and play GoldenEye, so it was very easy for me to be flippant and say, look, you don't actually want to play it, you just think you do. And, you know, turns out people are different, and what people want are different across the board. And
I mean, people like
that's
playing
just how it
chess, and the
works.
graphics on chess suck. I know it's not a video game, but like, it's still the point is
Hey,
just like,
somebody up-res chess, please.
imagine I did 15 years of updates on the game of chess to balance it and make it perfect. Original chess is still getting played way more than my new fandangled chess ideas. Like, there could be an argument to be made for any game that no matter how crappy or old it feels, that it's locked in a place and time, and that they achieve some kind of perfection. It could be at any point in any game's life cycle that lasts a stretch of time, right? Like,
Right.
you could say patch 23 of Heroes of the Storm was the best patch out of all the patches, or whatever. Like, I think that's a different conversation, but, and I think for a lot of people, World of Warcraft feels like it's not public domain, but it belongs to them and it's in the public domain. Certainly, you know, you get sad about MMOs closing down. It takes resources to run them, but at the same time, you're like, okay, if you're not making money on it, donate it to the public library so that people who still want to like check that book out can still do it. Well, that's an interesting idea. There should be a public library for deprecated MMOs.
Yeah.
Right? Shouldn't there?
That'd be
Just
cool.
a free,
That'd
just
be
a
fun.
free library. I mean, the library is free, and a lot of people play these games and maybe still want to just hop in, even if it's for an hour, just to get that good old love and feeling.
Well, I think there are some ways. I mean, there's private servers, things like that.
Yeah, but you know, it's illegal. It's fraught with danger, right? People get sued, and
I don't know. Steve Hammaker's always playing Star Wars. What is it? Is it Galaxies? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And I'm
somebody.
like, but I thought that same thing. Like, he's like, hey, everybody, I'm streaming Star Wars Galaxies. And I went there and I watched it and I was like, did I read that right? And I went and I looked, and sure enough, there he is. He's playing it. Here's a game that's technically shut down. So he's clearly playing on some server somewhere, some underground server, and he's streaming it, and it's fine. So I don't know. Maybe they're just like, well, there's no other way to play it, so we got to be okay with it.
Yeah, I think, but like somebody at the end of the day might have to stay after school. Like, you know, when the internet first came around, ROMs for Super Nintendo were around for decades, and like people are getting in trouble even now for the you know, hosting these, making, you know, Nintendo like that it comes home, that rooster comes home to roost for somebody. Is it a rooster? It's a hen.
They usually say the chicken
Yeah.
comes home to roost.
Something
But,
comes
you know,
home.
it could be a rooster. You know,
the platypus comes home to roost for someone somewhere who's enabling this stuff, right? And you know, it's just like, but at the same time, you're kind of like, they're, you know, abandonware sites are cool. Like, there should be a place where those old PC games that no one gives a crap about shouldn't just sit under someone's IP thumb. They should get donated and could be revoked if someone wants to monetize. You know, I wouldn't be revoking all of your rights, but there should be some way that, you know, this is okay. And that might exist out there right now, but I haven't explored that in decades. So the other thing I wanted to point out about this article, which I'm sure Blizzard has said ad nauseum. I mean, I've watched and been to BlizzCons and been a part of panels, so I feel like I should know this, but I guess it's easy to forget. He emphasized very much that the company is values first and is not changing under his leadership. He's going to use the blueprint that Mike Morhaime laid out, and that it's a developer-led thing, and that development is not linear or hierarchical in the sense that I say make this game, so we make this game. He said there's this circuitous way that development is iterated. So it sounds like they just let people kind of go off on projects, and they just foster the ones that keep going. And he dropped the statistic, like Blizzard axes 50% of its games before launch, including addressing the alleged StarCraft thing, basically confirming that, there's a StarCraft game. And the thing he said here was, I'm reading this directly. So both are important. Fans want more StarCraft games. I'm a fan. I also want more StarCraft games. Fans want more Diablo games. I also want more Diablo games. I'm a fan. Fans want new IP. Me too. So the things that we think about in terms of what IP should we use or how should we use it, the team has a lot of the development team, not like the people at the top, have a lot of decision-making authority on it. They think about what type of games they want to create and what gets them excited, and they work on that. So it's interesting because like the public, you might say, you know what, like we say it on the show, can you give me StarCraft 1 and the StarCraft 2 engine, or can you just give me StarCraft 3?
Yeah.
And they may just not be excited about that right now. Whereas like a lot of companies like Call of Duty might be like, oh, it's time for a new Call of Duty. That's their schedule. They'd just be like, we're not feeling it, so we're not doing it right now. Or you know what I mean?
I agree, but there has to be some mandates because, and you know, obviously it's going to be an area we're still sensitive to here based on how we started, but it felt like a lot of that Heroes team got drug away from Heroes. Not, oh, well, it's just not performing the way I want it to, so I'm going to go work on something else. It didn't sound like they came to them and said, hey guys, you know, don't you want to work on something else? There was a lot of rough feelings going around the Twitterverse when developers got moved away from the Heroes team.
Well, assuming this is as true, taking it at face value and just believing this is all true, it sounds like there's a democratic approach to it, which could still mean people get pulled off the Heroes team, but it isn't J. Allen Brack swinging around in his Brack Tower, you know, in Greenland, deciding, you know,
that all checks out.
deciding like, I really like StarCraft, but it's getting the axe. Bobby said so.
Right.
Like, it's more like probably they're sitting down having conversations like, we have X resources, we have X things we can do, put it to a vote. And like, I'm sure it's not like a democracy where they literally vote, but the way he describes it sounds like it sounds bureaucratic, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, just based on some personal work experiences as a possible person with narcissistic disorder and who is like very self-centered, I guess, you know, kind of be bossy and you know, just arrogant maybe. I'm always of the opinion that let's do my decisions, let's do my thing. I'll like, I'm like, of course a company that has a game needs a guy at the top who's going to say like, yeah, that's great, but we're making this. I really like that bear you drew, but you know, there's no bears in this game. This is a game with, you know, Kazra. So I want you to make Kazra, or you can find another job. like, you know, my mind kind of is like programmed that way. I think a lot of people think that way. And, you know, we do get some insights from behind the scenes stuff about how they work, but I don't know that there's much in the way of really emphasizes and drives home this face value notion that J. Allen Brack is talking about, that it's developer driven, which means there's bureaucracy, which means like in some work experiences, I may have the right idea, but it'll never get implemented.
Right.
Because even though mine's the smartest in the room and I know I'm right and I want everyone to follow me, and it might not actually be right, but it's got to get buy-in from everybody. And the worst way to get buy-in from everyone is, of course, to be like an alpha, like I'm kind of talking right now and being a dick about it. But, you know, I think we have this perception that, especially big companies like Blizzard, that it's like a guy in a suit who's going like, Sonny, she want to make a new MMO. Well, it's not what's selling. We need new Candy Crush, so go ahead and make it. I'm Bobby Kotick.
Right.
You know, like, and it sounds like
I think most of us knew that it probably, you know, wasn't J. Allen Brack just coming in and just knocking things out of the way and all of that. I mean, even by all accounts, he was a Heroes of the Storm fan. That was what I heard prior to him even taking over, was that he was a big Heroes fan. And honestly, the funny thing is you can kind of tell that all of Blizzard has a bunch of Heroes fans in it, because Heroes influenced every one of those games in a real kind of profound way that you don't see a lot of the games influencing each other.
Wailing Arrow was kind of in that new Warcraft cinematic, kind of. It wasn't a wailing arrow, but it was a... Also, I want to tell Sylvanas not to shoot her ultimate when the enemy character has 1 HP left. You should save that.
Why? It was the end of the game.
One auto attack would have done it, you know. But now I'm gonna fire.
There's no need to be precious.
I'm gonna fire my. That's point. BM, dude. That's BM. When you see the character, you know, the enemy hero in Heroes of the Storm has like 10 HP, and you fire your ulti at it. It's
like mosh pitting the core. It's not doing anything really.
Pretty much. I get that it was dramatic for the cinematic, but my brain was just immediately like, what a waste of an ult. Like Thrall and Anduin are right behind. Like saving their full health. Also, Anduin didn't hand Saurfang. I don't know if we want to get into that. That's a different topic.
Well, okay. I do want to just talk about that because there's a lot of people, and this has been the conversation back and forth. People are like, Anduin didn't res him. And then there's another camp of people that comes in and goes, guys, game mechanics have to be ignored for cinematics and stuff like that.
That's also
this
Mak'gora,
expansion,
right?
This expansion literally opened with him doing that.
Yep.
So it's not like it's not in the cinematics.
It was his Heroes of the Storm ult.
Yes. It was in there. He could do it.
Yeah, and also, like, the other argument I thought you were going to say was that people are saying, well, it's Mak'gora. It's a time-honored tradition. It's a sacred combat.
No, it isn't. Everybody cheats.
But she cheated, right? She cheated. Like, if you're like, it's Mak'gora, if I get killed, don't res me because this is to the death. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's no magic allowed. Oh, okay. So what's the rules on resing if magic gets used? It's like, well, I guess you get to get res, so you don't have a dishonorable death. But
yeah, just res him. Just res him, Anduin. You really didn't try.
I mean, this is kind of it's true in D&D and in video games and in all lore. When you introduce the idea of resurrection, and resurrection is as easy as making craft dinner, mac and cheese for you Americans. You basically have a race of immortal people, and the problems of your kingdom and of your world are no longer the problems of medieval Earth. You are basically an advanced civilization at this point that can, you know, just like have to cope with diminishing resources because your population is growing. Yeah. As well as, you know, I guess you can't res old age in fantasy things. That's like the one thing probably is the limiting factor.
I mean, I guess probably he just didn't have a diamond worth at least 1,000.
Like, it's also medieval times too. Like, disease is a pretty big deal because you don't have ways to combat it as much. Yeah. And so, like, what happens when you die of a disease? Like, you just keep getting resed every day until finally you just can't take it anymore.
Well, you know, there are magics that remove diseases and stuff.
Oh, just cure disease. Yeah, they've got all the. It's funny. They have all this kind of magic that does all things. They don't have an anti-aging spell. It's crazy.
That's a good point. They don't. Well, wait a minute, because the Greater Restoration de-aged Varel.
In D&D. Yeah, in D&D, way more is possible. So that if we're continuing on D&D, I'm still on the World of Warcraft thread.
You brought up D&D, and I just immediately jumped tracks. My interest got 100% shifted, and I was like, "World of what craft?"
I think in terms of D&D though, because your characters are the exceptional characters, it's still a rarity. It's not like you can go around resing the entire universe. You're one of 10 people who can do it, maybe, in the whole world realm. Yeah. But in World of Warcraft, I mean, I see people getting rezzed all the damn time.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Like, in the world of D&D, like a level 3 human being is like a hell of an impressive. Like that's like a Hercules walking around. You're like,
there's arguments you make to be like res is rare and powerful and often costs materials and, you know, it's difficult. But like in World of Warcraft, res is like a level 20. It's a button you press. It's pretty straightforward.
It doesn't have any component need.
The guy who's the best at it can res an entire army mid-fight and still good to go, you know, for the Alliance. Like, he wasn't tired. He wasn't like, I expended all my reagents, I can no longer do this. He was, you know, invincible. So yeah. So I mean, if you pick apart World of Warcraft cinematics, you'll find nothing but tears and disappointment. So you should just watch it and just enjoy it for what it is.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. Speaking of World of Warcraft and BlizzCon, let's just go over this real quick because it's fun. It's an important thing every year to those who go. They announced the virtual goods that you get for the BlizzCon virtual ticket, or if you're going to BlizzCon.
Which so is this an announcement? Do I have to make a big? I'm not going this year. Did we talk about that?
I think you mentioned that.
I know we've talked about it, but I don't know on the
I
show.
think-
I just don't want anyone to be like sad. I guess because I do want to go, and I'm hoping to go maybe next year. Seems like a bad year to miss. I'm gonna go only on the booing years, but I'm gonna fall in love with their game they announced this year and go to BlizzCon the year after, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're canceling. It's a classic game now already." Shit.
Yeah.
But I'm saving money for a new PC, so that BlizzCon funds is kind of being directed to the new. I've had my PC for like 14 years, and it was top of the line at the time, but it's going. So I'll be watching from probably the virtual ticket, which is the cheap, inexpensive price of $64.99.
Wow.
Yeah, like Blizzard, man. I'm telling you guys. On the one hand, you guys are
so
amazing.
that's Canadian because I just looked it, but still $50 for US.
$50 is a lot, but it is the price. I mean, a full price PC launch is $79.99, and I don't know, man. Just because it's TV, maybe it's so devalued. I can't think of a single entertainment. Is it maybe just MMA fighting and WrestleMania that costs this much?
No, because you know what wrestling did? They went subscription based, so you pay $10 a month for wrestling, and you don't buy pay-per-views anymore.
You know what I think they should do is that this digital business should be included with a World of Warcraft subscription.
Yeah, actually, it should.
It should be like, yeah, it's $64.99, but you know what? If you've subbed X amount of months of the year into World of Warcraft, on us.
Or even an alternative where sign up for 3 months or extend your sub for 3 months and we'll give you the virtual ticket as well.
Right. And that way you can have all kinds of subscriber numbers for World of Warcraft, and
it's win-win.
And people forget to unsub. Maybe people.
I mean, maybe it's not win-win because maybe they get all these people who are already doing that to then also give them $50.
I mean,
but
let's get the lay of the land here. Xbox and PlayStation are giving away the store for under $10 a month, and Blizzard's like, "Yo, we got a competitive offer for you for just 2 days of excellent programming. It'll be $64. Like that is 6 months, maybe 5 to 6 months of a subscription to my platform of choice where I can just kind of play games."
I'm actually gonna say, here's
the virtual ticket.
Right. Here, you know, I love Blizzard. I love their products. $50 is too much.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it because the goods you're getting for it, I'm sure a lot of artists and people put time and effort into it, but it's not worth $50. And here's the thing, I don't think it'll be a controversial thing to say on Core. Maybe some of the stuff that you were excited about getting in years past isn't going to be there anymore. Because maybe esports you were really invested in aren't around anymore and aren't going to have big competitions for you to enjoy on video on demand, which makes the virtual ticket a little less.
I mean, I'll double down on what you say, and it's like, maybe I'm just happy enough watching it without all the bonus garbage. Like, this is like buy our cereal, overpriced cereal, we put a toy in the bottom. And I get there are people out there that might upset or whatever, and I'm 40 and, you know, kids like this stuff. But like, honestly, personally, I just want to watch the content. I do not want the free crap that I don't equip because everyone's got this and it's not special. like whenever there's a skin that's like a BlizzCon skin or a card back, it's immediately devalued in my mind, and I don't ever use them because, you know what I mean? Like, psychologically, I'm like, I didn't earn this. I didn't pay for this. I don't know. Is there anything from a BlizzCon package that you really, really love? Like, the Illidan thing looks cool, but I would just play Overwatch and get it if that's something I wanted. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah, like, honestly, there's nothing in the virtual goods that I think is anything crazy. We'll just go through it real quick. World of Warcraft gets a Anduin dressed up Murloc and a Sylvanas dressed up Murloc and a Yeti costume. Overwatch gets a Genji skin and a Symmetra skin that look like Illidan and Tyrande, which look really good.
They're really
being
cool,
honest.
great looking. Yeah, oh yeah.
Hearthstone gets a mysterious legendary, golden legendary, and a new card back. Heroes of the Storm gets a new portrait spray and a astral crab mount. StarCraft gets portraits and unit skins, and then there's some mysterious Diablo 3 business that has yet to be revealed. I believe it's wings.
Did you see the
though.
joke about the wings for Diablo 3? Patrick
what was the
Beja
joke?
tweeted it, but it was on Reddit originally, that it's a mobile phone spread into wings. It's called Immortal Wings. And there's a Photoshop picture of just a phone on the back.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you gotta look it up. The picture it's amazing. It was pretty good.
It's pretty good. But I mean, those are okay. But then I think about, so basically anything that's a major announcement that's going to happen during the opening ceremonies, and I think the opening ceremonies might be free anyway.
Okay.
I think anybody can just watch those.
Yeah.
So that's not really part of it. So basically what you're paying for is the ability to watch the panels and the ability to retroactively go back and watch video on demand panels, which doesn't last forever. And furthermore, the closing ceremonies are only viewable live. If you miss it, there's no replay version for it. They don't archive any of the closing ceremonies or anything like that. So I don't know. It's just not a $50 package to me personally. But you know, for a lot of people that can't go or can't make the trip, you know, this is how they're going to experience it. I don't want to like.
I mean, I want to pay
much,
something.
but
I don't mind paying something and supporting the production or the show for the people that are there, if that even matters. I don't mind paying. It's just really exorbitant. $64.99 Canadian. Like, it's just, I don't, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It costs more than buying any of their games at this point. It's
that's actually true. Anyway, I don't want to just, you know, that's kind of ending on a down note.
wow.
So,
I mean, I love the virtual package. Watching it's great. It's always been a good experience, and nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. Just the price is insane.
yeah, it's overpriced. I like the idea of saying you can pay for WoW, and I did see someone in the chat say, "Well, some of us don't play WoW." Okay, well then you can pay for it normal. But for people who do play WoW, this is a way to get a little added benefit. So
I mean, this is. I don't want to get too tinfoil hatty. I think we're getting towards the tail end of the show, and that's usually when I start to get pretty loopy. But
all right,
but
well, put on your tinfoil hat.
It's not tinfoil hat, but just maybe a little. I don't want to say insulting. It's going to come off as insulting is what it's going to happen.
Okay.
The thing that shocked me the most about BlizzCon, one of the things that shocked me the most about BlizzCon was the sheer number of people who collected pins and were trading them.
Yes, it's a huge.
Now I get it. I, as a Magic player, I'd bring my binder of, you know, valuable cards, which actually have a street value, but whatever. Not to nerd, like look down my nose at other nerds, but like, you know, but I'm just like, I mean, I expect somebody to be interested in it, but I always underestimate or fail to recognize the collector type of nerd.
Right.
And there was a lot, I wasn't expecting to see that. Like people with binders, people trading it. And I'm like, you can't build a deck with the pins and play with them? Like, and I always forget because, I have a collection back here, but I only did that just to make it look good. Like, my house is Spartan. I have no decorations. I don't like putting wallpaper. Like, you've seen my bedroom. I used to, like, it's just the bed, mattress on the floor. There's zero decoration. Like,
and
I hate
blanket
collecting.
kind of thrown about it.
So it's more about me and less that it's a problem with them. But I was shocked at the number of people who, you know, go to every BlizzCon, collect all the unique pins that are provided there. They design the pins so that they're tradable, make you socialize. They even talk about that. And there's a part of me that's like, this $64.99 is like, if we didn't offer anything, we couldn't do it. But we can manipulate all those collector people into spending more money than they need to by giving them the shit. And you're out there with your full collections of pets and your full collections of toys in World of Warcraft. And I just want to say, like, I just want to say power to you, man. I'm sick too. I have a narcissism disorder or something like that. So I'm not.
The third time you've said that. Were you just diagnosed today or something?
Yeah, I opened up psychology today. Well, I've been going down a rabbit hole with social media, which is outside the scope of this show. But
okay,
on the other show I do, Good, Bad, or Bull, we have an episode coming out about outrage culture, and it got me on a tailspin. We had a big argument. A good one,
yeah.
But it was definitely an argument. And I just been looking up a lot of stuff pertaining to social media and what's going on with it and stuff like that. And it led me down a rabbit hole to narcissism disorder. And I did a test. I came back as
and you passed.
Super narcissistic. And I'm like, it says you should go see a therapist. So I've actually been making inquiries because I recognize a lot of the stuff in myself. So, and like I have a sister who's been going to therapy. I'm pretty sure she's comfortable with me talking about it and has said nothing but good things and has changed and so shown improvement. So she's always recommending videos and recommending we go, and it's really helped her out. And we do have a family history. My dad is an insane person. We've never told we've told some of my dad's stories on here before, but we've never told the NSFW story. So I think it's genetic. I think I have. So I definitely have a disorder. I don't know.
When you found out you passed the test, and you said, "Well, of course I did." Was that like the icing on the cake?
I mean, I didn't want to be too confirming because sometimes you get your first result out of one test, which is a flimsy online stupid test. That's Psychology Today, so I don't know. Maybe they're credible. But I'm like, nah, maybe this test is just designed to make me think I'm crazy, but I'm not, in order to fuel their economy or whatever, you know. So, but I'm like, but that's what a narcissist would say. So I'm like, I can't tell, and I'm like, but I don't want to go to a therapist and have them be like, you are definitely problematic, cha-ching. And
test is manipulating me. I can tell.
And it may not be narcissism. Like, I've always known there's definitely something off. There's a chemical imbalance on some level, but you know, I've never been diagnosed. You should, if anyone wants to find out more, go find my ex-girlfriends. They'll tell you plenty. They have plenty of opinions on my problems. Anyways, that got personal, but I'm comfortable with that. It's been on my mind.
That's what this show's here for.
Yeah. So
we're solving video games problems.
Shout out to all my narcissists in the chat room, yo. Woohoo. All right. Anyways.
All right.
I think it's okay to make light of narcissists.
Well, yeah.
It's not okay to make light of mental health disorders, but you know, they're kind of ridiculous.
But I think if there's anyone chat, Bo, keep talking about you.
Yeah. I just realized that my line of thinking on this is highly like, I don't do that. Why are you guys doing that? You're weird. And I'm like, I'm just as weird too, so it's fine. Collectors are fine. I have an uncle with Coke cans from every age and generation and Smurf toys. He likes to collect things. I'm always like, I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah, like little Smurfs. You know?
I don't know, man. I used to have my room lined with those. Remember when episode 1 came out and they did the like Mountain Dew, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi cans with characters on it? Yeah. I had the full set lining my wall, but I didn't drink them.
But do you like?
Eventually, they broke.
Because you've got cool baubles in the back there.
Yeah.
But you don't collect them like I have to get all in a set. Like you just kind of you see something, I like Artanis, I want that thing.
Right.
But they release Anduin at some point. You're like, I pass. You know, you're not like, I have to have the other one. I need them all. And that's where I'm like, yeah, you don't need to have all the pins from BlizzCon. And I view the BlizzCon collectibles in the same way. Like, it's trash. And I hope not to offend anyone with that, but it's also honest.
No, but so. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we all acknowledge that. I mean, what is behind me here is almost 100% of what I have. There's a tracer thing in the other room. There's, one or two things here, but I've kind of condensed it all into one area because I kind of am the same way you describe, where it's, things tend to be elsewhere pretty Spartan around here, but I got one spot where I keep it pretty busy. But I look at that wall and every now and then I'll look at it and I'll go, oof, that's a wall of shame item. Why did I buy that? Why did I invest in that? I think we all have have those things. I've been slowly, every time I move, I feel like I get rid of 100 DVDs, and I'm still getting rid of DVDs every time I move. So, you know, there was a time where I had to have every new DVD that was out. And actually, this shelf behind me used to be nothing but DVDs. I can fill it with random tchotchkes now because that's how many DVDs I've gotten rid of. So, you know, we all have our.
I've got an uncle who has tons of DVDs. That reminds me. Yeah, it just never. It's the same reason I hate achievements. I just think it for me it feels like it always emphasizes what you don't have versus what you have, and it's like I just gotta play the game. But I realize I'm making it sound like an insulting way. I just think because I called the stuff trash, and I actually don't think anything. All this stuff looks cool. The Overwatch skins are great. I just mean it's unnecessary.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Oh no, it's one man's good one man's garbage is another good man's ungarbage. That's from Trailer Park Boys. That's what Ricky said. One man's garbage is another good man's ungarbage.
The wisest words. Right. I don't know. What do you say? We call it there?
That's a show. Yeah, I mean, it's a meaty show. We talked for a long time. I did miss Scott.
Yeah, we missed him.
But I think we held it down. I think we covered a lot of the stuff. We didn't talk about what we've been playing, but honestly, we did a show 2 days ago, and
and it hasn't changed. Yeah, I didn't talk about my stuff last week, but it's Gears and it's World of Warcraft, and we've talked about all of those. So.
I watched The World's Worst Prisons on Netflix, which is scary.
Yeah, it's a real uplift.
I'm like, I don't want to go to jail anymore. Not that I ever did, but it's like. I'm not curious at all.
You've been on a real week of discovery. You're like, let me investigate the world's worst.
I'm a narcissist. I'm questioning social media.
Potential mental disorders I have.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a discovery weekend.
Well.
All right. Well, on that note, do we have white
Hey,
words?
everybody. Oh. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wait, we got to give out the deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. Remember, you can email or call us. We didn't do any of those because we don't have access to them without Scott, but we'll probably do one next week. So if you want to email us, make sure you go to frogpants.com/core. Check out the contact us information there. That's how you can send us an email, or you can call us, leave a voicemail, 801-471-0462. Hey, we also do a Patreon where you can help support our show. Maybe throw a little money our way. Help Bo discover what other pressing issues is
help me pay for the BlizzCon virtual ticket, please.
Yeah, let him collect some garbage from some good virtually
ungarbage.
Patreon.com/core show is where you can go to further that endeavor. Check us out. The website again, frogpants.com/core. You can also check out each of our Twitter accounts, the show account Core Pod. You can find me at John_Jagger, Scott at Scott Johnson, and Bo at Bo Schwartz. Check us out every week on Wednesday at twitch.tv/frogpants. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us here. I think this is the most people that's ever watched my channel, so that's great. Thank you,
Bo, everyone. Any words of wisdom to close out this episode?
See a psychologist. It's not my own words of wisdom. I stole it from my sister. Said, Bo, see a therapist.
Words of wisdom your sister gave to you.
Mm-hmm. And you, all John, right. Do you have any words of wisdom for our listeners?
No, I'll just follow your advice. Thank you.
All right. You're not gonna join me?
No, I'm just waiting. As soon as you're done, I'm gonna go, that's a good question, and that'll be the show. That's a good question.
There we go.
There we go. Hey!
That's the show.